Hey everyone, welcome in. I'm doing some painting of a commission artwork today. I just thought I'd show you a bit of the process. This is a yoni artwork that I'm doing, and there is two peony flowers in this work. I'll show you. If you like, I can zoom out and show you the whole thing. You can see the full work there. I'm working on doing lots of very fine details in the leaves today and in the stem. Trying to get some good light on the work. So these artworks are all about honouring the divine feminine. They're meant to be something of self-love, body positivity, and a representation of the goddess energy of the divine feminine in the yoni. And this type of artwork had been done through history, art history, until our patriarchal culture had taken over these images of the feminine and replaced them with images of the masculine and energy. So this is actually going back to some history where we can honour representations of womankind and hold them in a really high regard and esteem. And appreciate the life-giving energy of the body, of the womb. I hope you like it. Hello, if you've just come in. Whereabouts in the world are you from? Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. So this painting, it's often within my process, not really sure, go ultimately, and I can lose the white of the paper. I tend to just really go with the flow, with what works. sometimes I make my, I dilute my pigments from my watercolour palette. This is my watercolour palette that I'm working from. And I'll take some of the pigment and put it into a plastic container. And so then I can get pigment straight out of here, diluted, and put it on whatever I want to paint with. So here I have a nib, a calligraphy nib, and I can just really gently paint it on to get a super fine line. I can just dip the nib in and get more detail or more pigments on the nib that way. But it's a very slow process. And it's one where I'm just going with the flow and seeing what intuitively comes to me to be able to put on the paper. It's very, very fine and slow. Feel free to say hi, ask any questions in the comments. Thank you. Really fine work. Lots of little details. I'm going to move on to another area. Let's reposition this camera. Well, I've put the camera so close that I can't actually draw. Okay, come on, tripod. Ah, there we go. That's a bit better. My internet isn't always the best here, so bear with it, it'll get better. Thank you. Let me know if anybody else is an artist, if they paint or draw, music, any other kind of art. Or maybe you just like to appreciate it, to watch other people make art, create something. And tell me where you are in the world. I'd love to know where you're watching from. Quite terrible. So it may drop out. I don't mind if you can't stick around. It can be very frustrating, I know. Thanks for your patience and bearing with me. I have a art studio, or art gallery, I should say, that I often paint from as well. And if you follow me next time I'm doing live, I can, it'll be in a better area, so there'll be much better reception. I just really wanted to record some of this today. So I was asking before if this is the first time you've seen my work, or if you maybe follow my work already. I love your comment, Fawzia. You said you're a talented and creative artist of womanhood and motherhood, and indeed just of, honouring our body in the capacity. It doesn't matter if you've had children or not, it's just still the energy around this creative, regenerative aspect of our body. So as I'm drawing, I am looking at these reference photos that I have that obviously I can't show and trying to find the form that I'm illustrating. And I really want to do the woman justice and help her have an image that she can hold that honors her body in her creative experience. Thank you. So I can see parts of this as I'm doing this ink work, very fine ink work at the moment. I can see parts of the shape that I'll need to take away and where I need to add more fullness. And it's part of this kind of push-pull dynamic of the way that I create my art. So you've asked to introduce me to yoni art. There's been quite a few artists throughout history that I've been inspired by. Maybe originally an artist called Georgia O'Keeffe. She had an impact. I was looking at her work, although she never actually admitted to her paintings being of the yoni. She painted flowers, which are obviously a reproductive part of a plant, and so she created these beautiful artworks that really did look very yonic, and I was inspired by her. And then there was another artist that was doing, I'm trying to think of her name, I've got a book of her work. She was doing drawings as well, but I think her name was somebody, I can't think. And there have been other artists, especially around the feminism era of around the second wave feminists around the 70s. They were doing a lot of really empowering work around the body and using the yoni as a symbol of empowerment, pride, and self-love in an era where we were taught to really shame. There was a lot of shame around our bodies, and especially any of the reproductive organs being seen as very taboo. And so it was an energy of reclaiming that. But these days, I would say I'm much more inspired around the more pagan artworks of worship, like the oldest known artwork that I'm aware of is the goddess of Willendorf, and it is a sculptured figurine out of either rock or clay, and it is of a very voluptuous figure of a woman, including the yoni, but it has she has big breasts and very curvaceous hips, and she's clearly a childbearing figure. And she was seen as a goddess, and back in those primordial kind of era, because I mean the goddess, I'm trying to think how long ago that was. I mean, if it's the oldest piece of art known to mankind, we're talking quite primordial caveman kind of era. Sorry to be crude and not know exactly. I'll have to know. Anyway, so I'm really inspired by that. That there's been an ancestry, history, a lineage of creating artworks that worship the body and the goddess energy, the sacred feminine energy. I really like the fact that I'm part of that history now, because I'm creating those works as well as many other people who would be doing this kind of work. So let me see. Um, I'm just trying to look it up now. So the Venus of Willendorf was made approximately 25,000 to 30,000 years ago, near the during the Paleolithic period. There we go, 25 to 35,000 years ago. Thank you. I'm glad you see it as really liberating too. I certainly do. And of course, more recently, there was, not recently, but more in the pagan years, there was the Sheila and the Gigs, which have have been found carved in stone above churches and above homes. And they also have this amazing energy about them. Have a look them up if you can. So they're a figurine of a woman with a yoni, and she's holding it right open in this quite fearful kind of quite intense, powerful pose. And they're quite amazing too. And I think that's Celtic heritage. So when I'm painting, I'm doing such fine, very light layers, and I can always build up the paint, but I can't really take it away as easily. So I try and be very fine and light with my work. I think this camera's cleared up a bit now, which is good. Would you find art like this in Saudi Arabia? Would this be something that would be allowed? Would it be taboo? It wouldn't be allowed. I guess that's what's kind of good about places like YouTube like this, where you can have access to things that are not as taboo in other parts of the world. But yes, I thought it might be taboo still.